Okay, y'all, so this is just how we got to do it. Yesterday things got crazy and I had to stop the video because I had to work. This project is going crazy. So my apologies. I know last week my phone died. I didn't feel well. And now I had to make time to run to the gym and get my workout in because I was feeling overly stressed with this project, which I just got a little bit longer to go. Real quick, I have never had a project that has been this like stressful for a client that really like the volume is really not, it shouldn't be this stressful. This client does have 42 different locations and they're all in the US. Like, I'm used to working in a global landscape. I'm used to working with, when I say the names of the names. I think my NDA has ran out. So I'll tell you one of my clients. One of my clients was MasterCard. Like MasterCard. That was one of my clients. And, you know, they are in so many countries around the world. And that was my client. And I managed their account globally. They were not even as needy and stressful as this local client is. And I'm just trying to understand, why are we struggling to get this client together? It should not be this difficult. And it's proving to be very difficult. I work with professionals, but I do think some of the consultants that I work with are maybe not ready for the fast-paced business in which we work. And it's been very stressful. And now I just finished my workout and now I'm sitting at the pool. This is one of my last nights in this community because I'm moving on Wednesday. Today is Monday. So I was like, you know what? Before I go back in the house, it's actually a nice night. Some of my neighbors are over there in the hot tub, and one of the guys actually jumped in the pool. He went from the hot tub to the pool. It's crazy. But it's like 65 degrees, so it's not cold. But, you know, it's a fall night in the desert. So I was like, let me just take this video right here on the side of the pool and finish it. So thank y'all for being patient. Like, what about people that be stressed at work? Okay, we ready to do something strange for some change to get off the corporate plantation, y'all. Like, I've never felt this way because I genuinely love what I do. But this particular project has me, like, rethinking a lot of things. Like, I'm rethinking so many things. But we gonna push through. That's enough venting. All right, so where did we leave off? Oh, my goodness, they're barbecuing. Yeah, people outside tonight. They outside tonight in the desert, baby. So anyway, all of the couples meet back up at the round table and they're going to go back to their respective partners. So of course they have to go and, you know, they go around the table and talk about the experience. What did you learn? So on and so forth. Out the gate, we started to talk to, I think Zaina went first. And, you know, I think Zaina and Scotty were able to reset from the issues that they kept having. I think overall they had a good experience, but they were ready to go back to their partners. You know, Zaina talked about how, you know, she needs to speak up more in her relationship. And that's kind of what the experience taught her, was that she needs to speak up more. And I agree. You know, we didn't get too much visibility into her and JR's relationship, but definitely you can tell that JR runs that relationship. So shout out to Zaina. Yes, girl, know your worth. Know your worth, girl. Know your worth. Don't let that man play with you, because he's indeed be playing on your top. And then Scotty talks, and he talks about how, you know, Zaina really taught him positive conflict resolution. Then he gets back with Arya, and he didn't learn. I felt like he felt like he could get to positive conflict resolution with Zaina because of Zaina's personality, but to an extent, Arya is whiny, similar to Mariah, And as soon as they got back together, they was right back in the blender, going back and forth, around and around. But he talked about that's what he learned. Then they go over to Aria and Caleb, and Aria was saying she felt seen with Caleb. She felt like she could just be herself, and she didn't have to worry about what it looked like, or if she didn't have to feel goofy or silly about certain things. She also talked about how, and I think this was in an earlier episode, but she talked about how she would call Scotty goofy, and she meant it in a quirky way. Like, I think it's cute that you're goofy, and Scotty would get offended by that and be like, don't call me goofy. He's very touchy and very passive aggressive. And then Caleb talked about how, first of all, Caleb is faking and fronting like he ain't feeling Aria. But when he got back with Mariah, he had a confessional, and he was talking about how he woke up in the middle of the night and he was having some type of dream, and he thought he was next to Aria naked. Sir, if you are back with your girlfriend and you are having nightmares, because he tried to say it was a nightmare. Sir, it's not a nightmare. If you are back with your girlfriend and you are having dreams and nightmares about the woman you just left, yeah, that means you miss her. She's on your mind. So stop pretending and faking with Mariah, because when they got back together, Caleb and Mariah were not happy. And it's because Mariah was nagging, but also because Caleb didn't want to talk about how he really felt about Aria. And everyone can see it except for, Caleb can see it too. He's just lying to himself. He was definitely better suited with Aria. And I hope that we get some type of scene where he admits that to himself, because it's honestly weird that he refuses to acknowledge that he likes Aria deeper than a friendship, and that they have chemistry and they get along. So Mariah says to Aria, like, do you feel like you could see yourself with Caleb? Like, do you feel like, not like per se or speaking in generalities, do you, Aria, feel like you could see yourself with Caleb, being married to Caleb? And she said, yeah. She cleaned it up and said, I feel like Caleb has the qualities that I would want in a man. She cleaned it up. She very political answer, but Mariah was like, yeah, you didn't answer my question, because Mariah really wanted her to just say yes, and she played it real nice. Because I think Caleb has asked her to protect Mariah's feelings, but Mariah gonna have feelings and be naggy and whiny anyway. So you might as well just be honest, because essentially that's what she wants. She's gonna nag and cry anyway, so you might as well be honest and stop gaslighting everyone, Caleb. So then they get to Nick, and Nick talks about how it was rough for him, and how doing it alone was rough, and everything he went through. He apologized again, and here goes JR smirking. Yeah, well, whatever. I hate JR. He's so irritating. And Sandy, I go back and forth with how I feel about Sandy, because I believe her when she is expressing and emoting that she's feeling like this man is kind of emotionally abusing her. He's hot, he's cold. One minute he is, all lovey-dovey with her, and the next minute he's being nasty with her. And we saw a little bit of that, so it wasn't like she was making it up. We absolutely saw. He just jumped in the pool. Y'all heard that splash. So we definitely saw and realized that she's not making it up. So when she started to cry, because everybody was kind of coming to Nick's aid and was like, oh, it was rough for him, and maybe he deserved a little bit more credit, and da. A part of me feels that way as well, because he did have it rough, but also a part of me feels like I get her perspective, and I know emotionally manipulative men and how they act. I don't tolerate it at all. I've had people try me, okay? So I get her frustration. Like, man, everybody thinks you're this great guy, but before we came here, you wouldn't even show me any attention. Then we get here, because now you're saying you want to marry me, And now I'm getting attention from someone else, and now you're all over me. You don't want to leave my side because you think you can lose me. But it's like, before we got here, you were kind of being an asshole to me. And then JR comes, and JR proceeds to... JR is so weird and delusional. JR proceeds to go into this long diatribe about how him and Sandy are so perfect, and their relationship was perfect, and they had such a spiritual and deep connection, and she's great. Like, he's literally gushing over her. And I think, she kind of pacifies it. Like, she goes along with it, but she isn't going as deep as JR. Like, JR was doing too much. Like, especially in front of his girlfriend and in front of her boyfriend. It was weird. Very, very weird. And so that's when Nick kind of spills the beans that they kissed. Like, he says it. And so you should have seen Zaina. Zaina was like ping pong at the table. She didn't know none of that was going on. So she was like, wait, y'all kissed? Wait, what? She didn't know any of this stuff was going on. So it was a surprise to her. And I was sitting there like, yeah, girl, because you definitely was reporting and talking shit about Scotty back to JR. Can't tell me no different. And whole time, the reason why you weren't able to talk to JR the way that you wanted to, especially when Scotty was getting on your nerves, is because he was all into Sandy. And now you're seeing, not only was he probably was telling her like, oh, I'm just in the experience, we'll talk when it's over. But then you find out like, oh, he was really in the experience. He was like, that was his wife. Yeah, girl, joke's on you. I was like, and so that's when, Caleb steps in, and Caleb was like, listen, when we had guys night, Nick came to guys night very apologetic, very, I'm sorry and trying to make it right, and you weren't receiving it. And then JR kind of snaps at Caleb like, mind your business, get out of our business, you're not even in this. And he was like, we're having a discussion. And I was with Caleb, and I'm glad Caleb didn't back down. He said what he said, and it was what it was. But also, Caleb, you need to like really work out your shit while you're working out their shit. Like, so I also was like, yeah, mind your business and speak your piece about the relationship that you were in, because it was some stuff going on with you too. So then all the couples go back, right? They all go back with their respective couples, and Caleb and Mariah just cannot seem to get on the right page, because Mariah was alone. Right? She was similar to Nick. She didn't have the experience of having a partner and going through different trials and tribulations and, learning different things about herself and her relationship and things that she could apply to her relationship. She didn't have that experience. So, of course, all she wanted to talk about was the experience that Caleb had with Aria, because that's all she had to go on. She didn't have any, she wasn't doing nothing. Going kickboxing, going to the gym, going to get something to eat, reading books, doing crossword puzzles. She really did not have anything to talk about. So she wanted to talk about his experience. And on his side, he kind of took it like, oh, you're just trying to nitpick and get all in the business so that you could be upset and you could try to, have something to be upset about. And I think instead of Caleb trying to assume Mariah's intentions, he should have just had a conversation. Like, y'all have been separated. It's okay to talk about your experience. It's okay to say, I had a good experience. But he just didn't want to talk about it. And I think he didn't want to talk about it because he had an amazing experience with Aria, and he's lying to himself. And a part of him doesn't want to hurt Mariah's feelings, but he just doesn't get that all she wants you to do is open up and be honest. And that's the one thing you're not doing. And that's the one thing she wants. And it sucks because that's what you were doing with Aria. You would think that some of that would carry over, but it didn't. On the other hand, Mariah is nagging. She is annoying. And she's whiny. And so I also see it from that perspective too. So they get into it, a couple blow-ups. And I don't know if they'll make it. I felt bad for Mariah because, yeah, what she wants is very simple, and he's making it difficult. And, yeah, they need to break up. JR gets back with Zaina. And Zaina is like, so y'all were kissing? How many times? Da da da. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we kissed or whatever. We had 2 kisses. One time she came to me. Another time I came to her. I made the advance. But that's all we did. And I'm like, yeah, no, y'all were having sex. And I'm trying to understand, is this going to be in the deleted scenes at the reunion? Because you cannot tell me that they did not have sex. You just cannot tell me. There was no sexual connection, activity. I just refuse to believe that. So we'll see. Hopefully it's a deleted scene or we'll see it next week. I don't know. But you can't tell me no different. Um, she asked JR, so, because he said something to the effect of, I don't know what choice I'm going to make in the end, or something like that. He said something to that effect. And she was like, wait, what? You don't know what choice you're going to make? Because he said it very cavalier. And it was like, I caught it too. So when she said it, I was like, yeah, girl, I caught it too. I caught it too. What do you mean? Like, we're in a relationship. You're not in a relationship with Sandy. What is there to think about? What is there to ponder on? What decision do you really need to make? Like, that girl got a boyfriend and you have a girlfriend. So anyway, so Zaina is I could tell that she's trying with JR. I could tell that she's trying with JR and she's trying to make it, I'm sorry guys. She's trying to make it work, but also, I don't know. I feel like he wants to be with Zaina, but I think, there's something about Sandy that he misses, and you can clearly tell. So, Nick and Sandy, let me tell you something. Sandy is a fool. She a fool. She a little fake too. As she did all that crying and whining about how Nick is not this amazing person. Nick got his shit. Nick got issues, and she don't know if she want to be with him, and she got things to think about in front of the group. As soon as they walked in the house, she was all over that man. They was kissing, they was hugging, they was rubbing, they was touching, they were talking. They sat down and had a talk, and he's like, listen, I want to be with you. I'm ready to start our life. I'm sorry about everything. And, he was telling her everything she wanted to hear. And I received when she was kind of like, you're love bombing me. And he was 100%. He was love bombing her because he just don't want her with that black man. And we just gonna call it for what it is. He don't want to see her with that black man. And that's just what it is. So take from that what you will. And then Scotty and Aria, they come back together, and it seems like they've turned a corner. They're able to talk, but immediately the vibes are off, because one, Scotty is like, I don't believe that Caleb and you just had a friendship. Like, I don't believe that shit at all. Like, why is he lying? Like, you're a beautiful girl. Why is he acting like y'all were just friends? And that made him kind of question what was going on. That's not on her, though. That's not on Aria. So he was kind of taking it out on her a little in his tone. And it started to make her feel uneasy, because with Caleb, things were just easy. If they flowed, it was smooth. They were able to laugh and have fun. And Scotty is just very intense. He's very intense, and he's intense, and he is very much insecure, and that passive aggressive shit that would annoy the out of me. So they're also just off. They're not connected. They're not. And she ends up going into tears at one point, and I forgot what he said. He said something slick to her, and she started crying, and she's like, listen, it was about physical touch. And he was saying, like, I want more physical touch in our relationship. And, she's like, I just don't come from that. I'm not used to that. And black women, let me just quick soapbox. We got to get over that. I'm also very similar. You know what I mean? Like, it takes the right person for me to be lovey-dovey. And that's how I know I'm not with the right person, if I'm not lovey-dovey. And one thing about me, I'm not going to fake it, and I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to stroke your ego. I'm not going to, I'm not going to, all right, sorry about that, guys. I'm not going to stroke your ego. I'm not going to do none of that. I'm just not. I'm not going to have sex if I don't want to. Like, old girl Jazzy with Cam Newton talking about she having anal sex and it's painful, but she do it because he love her, she love him, and he wanted. I'm not the one. So when I'm thinking about Arya and Scotty, girl, if you're not lovey-dovey with him, it's because you don't feel comfortable, and maybe that's not your person. Because she was absolutely intimate and lovey-dovey with Caleb, 100%, 100%. So she started to cry, and she's like, listen, I'm trying, I'll do my best, I'll step it up. And he just kept picking at her, picking. And she started to cry because she's like, you're telling me it's an issue, I'm acknowledging it as an issue, and I'm telling you that I'm trying, and I'll do better, and all you want to do is beat me down. You don't want to receive it. You don't want to be warm and welcome, or acknowledge that I'm trying. And he's like, well, that doesn't negate the fact that I'm talking. And he was like, can I finish talking? He like cut her off. He's a nasty person. Like, he's not the best person. He really isn't. So that was them. And then I think that was all the couples when they got back together. So then, of course, they have the mixer with all the couples come back together. And Sandy and JR talked. And it was so funny to me because JR still thinks that he is in some type of relationship with Sandy. And he's being all nice and sweet to her. And Sandy, I could tell she is completely cut off from JR. She was like, well, you got to do what you got to do. And we got to do what makes us happy and da-da-da. Sandy, I see you as a fellow Scorpio woman. I see you and I know what you were doing. I read it as he was basically trying to leave the door open for the possibility of them leaving together. And instead of her telling him that she's not with it, she's not feeling it, she is very vague in her speech to him. We got to do what we have to do, and we have to do what makes us happy. And, we have big decisions to make. She was speaking very general. She was not being warm and speaking it to him as if she was leaving the door open. And I think by the end of the conversation, he finally caught, like, oh, she's not basically saying we're going to be together or there's even a chance. She's basically friend zoning me. And she was. And I'm glad that by the end of the conversation, he recognized it. They hugged. They went their separate ways. Nick decided to pull Zaina to the side. And he tells Zaina about how, and Zaina tells him about how they kissed twice. And Nick didn't know that. Nick thought they only kissed once. And so Nick has an attitude. Everyone else was just kind of background noise. It wasn't really too much to talk about. We find out that JR and Nick have the same tattoo. Whatever. So they get back to the house, and Nick is talking to Sandy, and he brings up about the kiss. And she admits it. And she says, well, I was going to tell you when we were done filming. He was like, you mean after I proposed to you? That was pretty shitty. Because, yeah, before you accept someone's proposal, you should probably be honest about everything, including something like that you know is going to come out on TV. I think Sandy was super bogus for not being forthcoming about everything up front. And so I felt Nick, but Nick's reaction was too much. He instantly went into, he told her, I don't want to talk to you. Don't talk to me right now. I don't want to talk to you. And she's just like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. I should have told you, da, da, da. And he was being very nasty and very cold with her. And then the next morning, he comes in, and guess what? He's being all lovey-dovey, and he's like, I'm sorry, and I just love you so much. I never loved somebody the way I love you, blah, blah. And I was like, there goes, that hot and cold is not healthy in a relationship. And she clocked it. She was like, love is not enough. Like, 1 minute you're nasty and mean to me. The next minute you're lovey-dovey and you care about me so much. I can't keep going on this roller coaster with you back and forth. It's not healthy and I don't like it. And I don't know what they're going to do, but you got to leave Sandy because he's not going to leave. So you have to remove yourself. All of that, him talking about, oh, I just want you to be happy, even if it's not with me. That's bullshit. that's bullshit. And he knows it. And then the last scene, basically, Nick goes and meets with Sandy, her sisters, and her parent, her mom. And he, they talk, and he talks about how he's never loved anyone like her and blah, blah. And then he gets up from the table and her mom is like, girl, are you sure about this? Now, I ain't saying you need to be with JR. You seemed happy with JR. I'm not saying you need to be with him. But Nick, you didn't tell me about everything he's done and I've heard about his behavior. Girl, that behavior is not going to stop. A ring is not going to stop that behavior. Marriage is not going to stop that behavior. It's only going to intensify that behavior. It's only going to elevate that behavior. And that's where we left off. So we'll get the new episodes this week. And this season has been really good. It's definitely had a lot of think pieces and talk pieces, a lot of different topics to touch on. I'm enjoying it. I feel like I keep getting these interruptions, so I hope that it is being received, that I am, even if I got to sit outside the pool, leaving the gym at 7 o'clock at night, y'all gonna get this video. So I will see you guys for part 3. I don't know if they're going to release the reunion with the next set of episodes or not, but however they roll it out, I'll be here. So I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.